McCoy Brown. So I gave the video on the parallel between King Solomon's temple and the Nauvoo temple. People don't follow God's commandments. They don't do what God says with God's timetable. And because of that, calamity falls upon you. It's not that God's unleashing it. God's trying to prevent it. But if you don't do things in a certain way through the arc of time and through the myriad quintillions and quintillions of intersections of potentialities of time, space, this is what's going to happen. This is the reality that it's going to coalesce into existence. See, our reality, our future is always coalescing into existence. And it can coalesce in a myriad of ways. Now, I've told you that story. So now I had a strange dream. And I would say this is a prophetic dream. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a holy person. I'm the biggest sinner in the world. But I kind of understand how this stuff works because I had this strange dream. And I'm only going to relate a piece of it here because it's complicated. But in this dream, I was at the Nauvoo temple. It was like fall, beautiful day. I was sitting on the steps, and it was like a lucid dream state. And this person dressed in 19th century, early 1800s American clothing walked up to me and said, "What do you think of this temple?" And we had this discussion, and in this discussion, we talked about the parallels between King Solomon's temple and the Nauvoo temple, both being destroyed, and how disobedience to the Lord, and which meant that I did not want to see how the Lord sees time, allowed a undesirable future to coalesce into existence. I said, this is interesting, the coalescing of time, and this is how this individual and I were talking. And I finally said, is this a dream, or is this real, or what is this? And that's when this person looked at me and looked me in the eyes, and I'm like, and if you've never seen anything like it, you're kind of like thunderstruck, like this is really someone talking to me in this altered, what dreams are, they're like the spaces between the seconds in time. So you have 1001, 1002, that space and time, that's where dreams, in my opinion, they kind of are outside of time. They're the pre-coalesced state of thought, the pre-coalesced state of time. So this individual told me some things, and I don't want to go through all that, but the thing that I have mentioned, because I had a compulsion to mention, was this dream happened December 2019. And in it, I kept getting messages from this person. We were starting to talk about vaccines and disease and how I should get vaccinated, and you need to get vaccinated. And this entity, being, angel, God, whatever it was, saying, your life is going to change. You're going to be in a different line of work. And I'm like, I thought it was really strange, this whole conversation, because it seemed very real. But the one section I was in, that I'm talking about now, it was all about disease and illness and vaccines. Now, this is the problem, okay, with this type of metaphysical language that prophets and the next world communicates with humans. We don't speak the same language, okay? And a lot of things are communicated in metaphorical terminology, and they can be interpreted in many different ways. So being an idiot, the way I interpret it was, I said, well, maybe I don't have my shots. See, I thought about myself, right? I'm a selfish, self-centered being. I didn't think about the world because I'm a narcissist. I'm very narcissistic. So I thought maybe there's something wrong. Maybe I'm getting a message. And I did send an email out saying there's some kind of weird message. And I'm sure everyone with common sense ignored it. But I had this compulsion to tell people, and I started talking about vaccines, and everyone thought I was crazy as hell. So I went to my doctor and said, this is December 2019. I said, I don't think I have my vaccines in order. She goes, Bob, what are you going on about? I said, I don't. So finally they did a test on me, and she came back and said, well, it's kind of strange, Bob, because you have no resistance to measles, and you have no indication that you've ever been exposed to measles, and you've never had the vaccine. She goes, I don't see how this is possible. At your age, you haven't been exposed to measles, which was kind of strange. So anyway, I got the MMR, and I thought, well, all done and dusted. That dream, I got the dream. See, I didn't understand, right? Because I'm a narcissist. I thought it's about me. That dream and these states of consciousness that people like Joseph Smith or Jeremiah or any prophet or any really religious seer. I'm not a religious seer, okay? I'm an idiot. I'm a moron. I'm a sinner. Don't listen to me. But I understand what they hear now. They get in these dream type lucid dream states, and in these states there's a metaphorical communication pattern happening between yourself and this other world. And they can be interpreted many different ways because humans have imperfect understanding, right? And then the pandemic broke out, and then I realized that's what I was told. I was told the pandemic was coming, and that's why I've told people, if you wonder why I was kind of quick on the gun on the pandemic, and I was quick on the gun on the mark that it was a lab leak, it's because I was told it was a lab leak in December of 2019. I won't go through the whole conversation because it's just a complicated thing. But looking back, I was like, wait a minute, this is what they were telling me in this strange dream state. I'm not a prophet. I'm not anyone special. I think this could happen to any human being. But the thing is, how do you interpret these messages from beyond? I think there needs to be a whole area of study in the church and religious studies and psychology and philosophy. We need to get to an understanding of what these dream states are, what these communications are, because we're being told about potential time frames that will exist in the future. And if we know better, if we can see if these, whatever they are, Gestalt personalities, collective unconscious, aliens, whatever the heck they are, if they're able to tell us what's happening so we can coalesce the future in a different way, we can have a better outcome for all humanity. I think every single human being has this ability, or can be, or will be, or communicated with, or can tap into this. What is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I know I had this dream. I know that the being was talking about, a pandemic, an infection, get vaccinated, a disease that would harm children and elderly is what message I got. I don't know. But this is an area that needs to be studied. Too often, the rationalist materialists push it off as, delusion. And then you have the spiritualists who have this kind of almost medieval philosophy point of view of it. And I'm saying it's neither of these things. That this is a communication with whatever power constructed the nature of space-time in the universe. And somehow it's able to communicate in metaphor. Anyway, that's a long discussion there, but that's why I think when you get these messages, you should pay attention to them and talk to someone who's spiritually minded to help you understand them. Bitcoin Brown, over and out.